All right, so you've been exploring this whole business service manager thing with RoleCatcher, and it sounds pretty interesting. Let's dive into their insights and unpack what this role really means, beyond the usual job description stuff.
It's funny. People hear business service manager and they think it's all about like processing orders or something, but it's so much more than that.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot more strategy and client interaction involved than you might initially think.
Absolutely. Imagine being the central point of contact for a client, making sure everything runs smoothly, being a trusted advisor that's the heart of it.
So it's like being a conductor, making sure everyone's in sync and the final performance wows the audience.
Exactly. You're juggling client relationships, contracts, and big picture thinking all at once. It's a pretty dynamic role.
RoleCatcher mentions professional services a lot. Does that mean we're just talking about like lawyers and consultants? Or is it broader than that?
Oh, it's way broader. Think of any company that provides specialized services to businesses, not just individuals. IT, finance, marketing, even logistics. It's a huge field.
So you could find business service managers in tons of different industries then. That's pretty cool.
Precisely. And that's what makes it exciting. You're not limited to just one sector.
Hmm.
Now, let's say you are interested in being a business service manager. What would your day-to-day actually look like?
That's what I'm really curious about. Because business service manager can mean a lot of different things depending on the company and the industry.
Right. And it also depends on where you are in your career. A day in the life of an entry-level business service manager is very different from, say, a senior one.
Okay, that makes sense. So let's bring it down, starting with those entry-level folks.
Yeah.
What does RoleCatcher say about those early days?
Think of it like an apprenticeship. You're learning the ropes, supporting senior team members, getting a feel for the rhythm of the role.
Lots of note-taking in meetings, shadowing calls, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Assisting with client communication, gathering requirements for projects, even helping to organize how those services are delivered. It's all about absorbing knowledge.
And probably getting a crash course in those contracts that seem to be everywhere in the business world.
Oh, absolutely. Understanding contractual obligations is huge for this role, even at the entry level. You'll want those ins and outs down pat.
Makes sense. They're not going to throw you the keys to $1 million client on day one.
Definitely not. This stage is all about building a foundation, but that experience is going to be invaluable as you move up.
Okay, so you've put in the work, learned from the best you're ready for more. What's next on the business service manager career ladder, according to RoleCatcher?
That would be the junior business service manager level. This is where you start to take on more responsibility, maybe even manage smaller projects independently.
So the training wheels are starting to come off.
That's a great way to put it. You're still working closely with clients and senior managers, but you're also starting to spread your wings a bit.
Like proposing service offerings, maybe even negotiating contract terms, but with a safety net.
Exactly. And this is where those core skills RoleCatcher talks about really come into play. Communication, problem solving, leadership.
Because even with smaller projects, if something goes wrong, you're the point person now. You're building those relationships, dealing with those challenges head on.
Precisely. And that experience is going to be key as you progress towards becoming a mid-level business service manager.
So what's the next rung on the ladder look like?
This is where you really step into that leadership role. Think larger scale projects, more complex client needs, maybe even leading a team of your own.
Time to move from the orchestra pit to the conductor's podium.
I like that analogy. You're not just managing tasks anymore, you're managing people. And that adds a whole other layer to the role.
So give us the inside scoop. What kind of projects were we talking about at the mid-level?
Think bigger picture, more strategic. You're collaborating with clients on a deeper level, developing solutions that align with their overall business goals.
So you're not just fulfilling orders, you're acting as a trusted advisor. Those relationship-building skills from the earlier stages must really come into play here.
Absolutely. And the stakes are higher. You'll likely be negotiating more complex contracts, managing larger budgets. That financial awareness is crucial.
It sounds like you need to be a master juggler at that level, managing clients, teams, projects, budget.
You've got it. But that's not even the top rung of the ladder. We've still got to talk about what it takes to reach the peak senior business service manager.
All right, let's hear about the view from the top. What's it like to reach the pinnacle of this career path, according to RoleCatcher?
Reaching that senior level, it's like you become the maestro of this whole orchestra we've been talking about.
Okay, I like where this is going. So you're not just leading the orchestra, you're setting the repertoire, guiding the soloists, making sure the whole symphony comes together.
Exactly. You're responsible for the big picture. overseeing the entire service delivery process, often for multiple clients at once.
Wow, talk about pressure. That sounds like a lot to juggle.
It definitely keeps you on your toes, but it's also incredibly rewarding. You're shaping the service operation, not just for your company, but for your client's success too.
So paint me a picture. What does a typical day even look like for a senior business service manager?
Honestly, there is no typical day, and that's part of the excitement.
So you're saying it's not all just boardrooms and spreadsheets?
Some days, sure, you might be meeting with high-level execs hammering out strategic plans.
Okay, but then the next day,
The next day, you could be presenting at a conference, sharing your expertise with the industry.
and then,
And then you might find yourself diving deep into performance reviews with your team, mentoring those future leaders. It's dynamic.
sounds like you need some serious mental flexibility to thrive in that kind of environment.
You definitely need to be comfortable switching gears, thinking on your feet, and definitely need those strong communication skills we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. So we've talked about what a business service manager does at all those different career stages. But what about the skills you need to actually succeed in this role? What do you think are the most important ones, and what does RoleCatcher say?
You're hitting on a crucial point. Understanding the role is one thing, but demonstrating you have what it takes. That's how you stand out.
It's like anyone can say they're a good chef, but can you actually bake the cake?
Precisely. And RoleCatcher highlights some key areas that employers look for. First and foremost, communication skills are absolutely essential.
Right. Because you're the bridge between the client and your company, like we said, so you better be able to explain those complex ideas clearly.
You got it. Whether you're negotiating a contract or smoothing over an issue, that clear, persuasive communication builds trust. It's everything.
Do you have a real-world example of how that might play out?
Sure. Imagine you're working with a client who's unsure about a new service. A skilled business service manager. They can clearly explain the benefits, address those concerns head-on, and actually persuade the client to come on board.
It's like turning a no into a yes by showing the value. Love it. What else does RoleCatcher emphasize?
Problem solving is another huge one. In any client-facing role, things will go wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Deadlines get moved, unexpected challenges pop up. You've got to be able to think fast.
Exactly. And that's where those problem-solving skills come in. You need to be able to analyze a situation, find solutions, and keep everyone informed along the way.
So give me an example. Let's say a project's behind schedule because of, I don't know, a technical meltdown. What's a business service manager to do?
First, get a clear understanding of what went wrong. Then, explore all the possible solutions and communicate a plan of action to both the client and the internal team.
So it's not just about putting out fires, it's about managing expectations, keeping everyone in the loop.
Exactly. Transparency is key. And speaking of key skills, we've touched on leadership a bit, but it's worth emphasizing that it's important at every level in this career path.
Right. Even if you're not managing a team right away, showing that leadership potential is going to help you climb that ladder.
Exactly. Now, here's one that might surprise some people. RoleCatcher talks about financial savvy as being important.
Okay, that's interesting. It's not like you're an accountant, so how important can it really be?
You're right, you're not crunching numbers all day, but you are managing budgets for projects, negotiating contracts, maybe even finding cost-saving opportunities for your clients.
It's like being the CEO of your own little service empire within the company.
That's a great way to put it. And on that note of making smart decisions, RoleCatcher also highlights certifications as a way to boost your credibility.
Ah, those resume-boosting badges of honor. Which ones do they recommend for aspiring business service managers?
They specifically call out the Project Management Professional, or PMP, certification, as well as the Certified Business Analysis Professional, or CBAP.
Okay, so let's break those down. What makes them so valuable? Let's start with the PMP.
The PMP is globally recognized, so having it tells employers you have that deep understanding of project management methodologies.
It's like a stamp of approval from the project management gods.
Exactly. It shows you have a structured approach to planning, executing, and delivering successful projects, which, as you can imagine, is pretty important in a business service manager role.
Makes sense. Okay, what about the CBAP? What does that one tell employers?
The CBAP focuses more on those business analysis skills. It demonstrates you can analyze needs, identify solutions, and communicate recommendations effectively.
It's like taking those communication skills we talked about to the next level. You're not just talking the talk, you're backing it up with analysis and strategy.
Precisely. It shows you have that well-rounded skill set that makes you an asset.
This is all incredibly helpful. Now, you mentioned RoleCatcher also provides some insights on interview questions for business service managers. I'm sure our listener is feeling much more confident about their skills and knowledge at this point. But who doesn't love a sneak peek at some potential interview questions?
Right. It's all about being prepared. And RoleCatcher does a great job of highlighting those common questions so you can go into an interview feeling confident.
Okay, hit us with it. What kind of curveballs can someone expect?
Well, let's start with a classic. How would you define the role of business service manager?
Seems straightforward enough, but I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
There always is. It's your chance to go beyond the job description, showcase your understanding of the role's core value. Think about what we discussed. Client partnerships, driving value, seamless service delivery.
It's about painting a picture of the impact you can make.
Exactly. It's not just about checking boxes. It's about understanding that your success is tied to the success of your clients.
Okay, what's another question they might ask?
Here's one that comes up a lot. How do you ensure that business services are delivered efficiently and effectively?
Ah, the efficiency question. Everyone wants to know you're not going to waste their time or money.
Right. This is where you demonstrate your structured approach. Talk about your project management skills, your ability to set clear expectations.
Maybe even give a specific example of a time you streamlined a process or improved efficiency on a project.
Perfect. Show them you're not just going to get the job done, you're going to do it right, on time, and within budget.
All right, give us one more interview question to chew on.
Stakeholder management is huge in this role, so be ready for something like, how do you manage stakeholder expectations?
Stakeholders. That word gets thrown around a lot, but it can feel a bit vague. Remind us who those stakeholders are in this context.
Sure. In this case, stakeholders are anyone with a vested interest in the services being provided. Clients, internal teams, even senior management.
So it's about juggling the needs and expectations of a whole bunch of different people who might have very different priorities.
Exactly. You're the hub, keeping everyone informed, addressing concerns, making sure everyone feels heard.
It's about being a master communicator and diplomat.
Pretty much. And a strong answer to this question might involve your communication strategies, your relationship building skills, maybe even an example of a time you successfully navigated a tricky stakeholder situation.
It all comes back to those core skills we talked about.
Yeah.
Communication, problem solving, building relationships.
You got it. Those are the foundations of being a successful business service manager.
This is all fantastic. But let's not forget about RoleCatcher itself. We've talked throughout about how they offer some really cool tools to help people in their job search and career development. How can our listener leverage that?
Yeah, it's like we've given you the roadmap, but RoleCatcher has the car. They're not just telling you about the job, they're actually helping you get it. What are some of those tools they offer specifically?
Well, like we said, they have that whole CD resume builder thing, and it's seriously cool.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this AI-powered resume magic. It's like having a resume expert in your computer. You know how important it is to tailor your resume for each job.
Oh, tell me about it. It's like rewriting your life story for every application.
Right. But RoleCatcher takes the guesswork out of it. Their AI analyzes those job descriptions, figures out what keywords are important, and helps you build a resume that'll actually get noticed.
So no more staring at a blank screen trying to sound like a corporate robot.
Exactly. It helps you speak their language, which is key because those applicant tracking systems, those bots that scan resumes, they're brutal.
Oof, don't even get me started on those bots.
Yeah.
It's like they're trying to weed people out, not find the best candidate.
Well, this helps you get past them. It's like having a secret weapon to get your resume seen by actual humans.
Love it. Okay, so my resume is optimized. What's next? How do I actually connect with companies that are hiring?
Well, remember how we mentioned employers actually use RoleCatcher to find candidates?
Yeah, it's like a two-way street.
Exactly. So by having your profile on there, you're putting yourself in front of those companies directly.
It's like that whole getting discovered thing. But instead of hoping a talent scout sees you singing in the shower, you're in the right place at the right time, digitally.
Exactly. But the coolest part, they have this interview practice feature that's amazing.
Okay, more AI magic. I'm listening.
You can actually record yourself answering common interview questions, and then their AI gives you feedback. Like, it analyzes your pacing, your tone, even your body language.
So it's like having a personal interview coach, but without the hourly rate.
Right. It helps you refine your answers, build confidence, and really shine in that interview.
This has been so insightful. I feel like we've really cracked the code on what it takes to be a successful business service manager.
It's all about those core skills, that proactive mindset, and honestly, using the right tools to navigate that job market.
Absolutely. It's been great exploring this with you, really eye-opening.
Likewise. Best of luck to all our aspiring business service managers out there. Remember, RoleCatcher has your back.
And remember, listeners, the job market's always changing, so never stop learning, never stop growing. Until next time.